The old farmhouse on the hill always looked abandoned, but strange sounds echo from within its rotting walls. Peppa and her family drive past the creepy building. Something moves behind the broken windows, watching them. A figure in a leather mask emerges slowly. His face is made from stitched animal skins. The leather-faced giant carries mysterious tools and bags. He collects things that others have lost forever. George drops his favorite dinosaur toy accidentally outside. The masked figure picks it up immediately. Daddy Pig stops the car to retrieve George's toy. The farmhouse door creaks open by itself. Leatherface appears, holding the green dinosaur toy tightly. His leather mask hides his true identity. He gestures for the family to come closer. His movements are jerky and unnatural somehow. Susie Sheep arrives looking for her lost teddy bear. Leatherface points toward the dark farmhouse interior. The masked figure leads them into his collection room. Hundreds of lost toys cover every surface. Pedro Pony's ball sits on a dusty shelf. Rebecca Rabbit's jump rope hangs from hooks. Leatherface shows them his special leather-making workshop downstairs. Strange tools line the grimy walls. He explains he makes masks from everything. Even the softest materials become his creations. The family realizes all their missing items disappeared. Leatherface has been watching them for months. Mummy Pig tries to leave, but doors slam. The masked figure blocks every possible exit. Leatherface reveals his true plan for visitors. He wants to add them permanently. The workshop contains more than just toys, personal belongings from many missing families. George starts crying as Leatherface approaches with tools. The leather mask grins with stitched mouth. The family huddles together as darkness falls completely. Leatherface begins his terrible work process. Morning comes, but the car remains empty. Only Leatherface knows what happened that night. The farmhouse looks peaceful from the road again, but new leather masks hang drying. The playground was always a place of joy and laughter. Today, an ominous silence reigned. Here, instead, Peppa and Susie were playing their favorite game of hide-and-seek. A strange masked figure was watching them from the shadows. Black mask with geometric patterns, empty hollow eyes staring. The front man stood, motionless like a dark statue. The girls tried to run away, but all exits were blocked. Tall walls appeared from nowhere, trapping them inside. Symbols appeared on walls: triangle, square, circle in bright colors. The front man pointed at the signs with his gloved hand. A voice sounded coldly through the mask's speaker. He announced the rules of a terrifying new game for children. The game, called Red Light, Green Light, began immediately, but the rules became frightening and dangerous for everyone. Peppa froze in absolute terror, understanding the consequences. The front man controlled their every single step and movement. Susie broke the rules and disappeared into thin air. She found herself trapped in a completely white room. The front man appeared before her, his mask glowing eerily. He explained the terrible price of disobedience to frightened children. Other children disappeared one by one from the playground. All rule breakers simply dissolved into the air like ghosts. Peppa remained completely alone with the mysterious front man. Toys and games lay, scattered and forgotten everywhere. The front man offered her the final game: choice of doors. One promised freedom, other eternal captivity and servitude. Peppa chose a door carefully, but both led there. The front man laughed quietly and menacingly under his mask. Room filled with masks and colorful costumes everywhere. The front man showed her a special mask made just for her. Peppa understood the horrible truth at last. Children become guardians. Nobody ever leaves this cursed place alive. The front man removed his mask slowly, showing emptiness inside. He was just a hollow shell created by the game itself. Peppa put on the mask reluctantly. Her personality dissolved completely. She became a new guardian of the children's playground. The next day, new innocent children appeared happily. They didn't know about the terrible danger that awaited them here. Two masked figures watched silently from dark shadows. The game continued endlessly. Rules remained unchanged and eternal. The playground filled with joyful laughter and cheerful voices, but empty eyes followed. The playground was always a place of joy and laughter. But today the ground beneath the swings begins to crack. Peppa swings with her friends on their favorite swings. The earth suddenly collapses beneath them all. Susie Sheep screams in terror as she falls into the dark hole. The depth seems endless and terrifying. Rebecca Rabbit grabs at the edges of the pit desperately. Her fingers slip on the wet, muddy earth. Pedro Pony tries to help his friends climb out, but the hole keeps getting wider and deeper. From the depths rises a dark figure in a black cloak. This is Hades, Lord of the Dead Souls. Hades looks at the children with cold, empty eyes. His presence drains all warmth from the air. Peppa feels her body becoming ice-cold gradually. Her breath turns into white, misty clouds. Hades speaks with a deep, echoing voice about loneliness. He needs companions in his underground kingdom. Susie Sheep tries to run away, but her legs stick. The ground turns into sticky black mud. Rebecca Rabbit calls for her parents to help her, but her voice becomes quieter and weaker. Hades shows the children gates to the underworld. Black stones are covered with ancient, mysterious symbols. Pedro Pony sees shadows of other children behind gates. They wave their hands but cannot speak. Hades begins the ritual of summoning souls to kingdom. Air fills with dark, magical energy. Peppa feels her soul separating from her body. She becomes transparent like a ghost. Friends transform into shadows one by one. Their bodies disappear, only silhouettes remain. Hades leads new subjects through the black gates. The underworld gains 4 new residents. The playground looks completely normal again. The pit and ground disappeared without trace. Parents come searching for children at playground. They find only empty swings swaying in wind. Hades sits on his throne in underworld. Beside him 4 new children's shadows. Every day, new children come to play. Hades patiently waits for next companions. Peppa's school always seemed like a safe place, bright and joyful. But no one suspected what dark secrets hide behind its friendly walls and children's voices. Mummy Pig received a call from Miss Gazelle. George is doing poorly and behaving strangely. Mummy Pig goes to school with anxiety. Something is wrong with her little one. The school corridor is unusually quiet. Even the air feels heavy and ominous. Miss Gazelle greets Mummy Pig with a strange smile. Her eyes look empty and cold. The teacher leads Mummy Pig to the classroom. George sits alone, not lifting his head. Mummy Pig tries to hug her son. George pulls away and remains silent as if he doesn't recognize her. Miss Gazelle explains that George has changed. He no longer plays with his dinosaur. Instead of toys, George draws strange, dark figures. The drawings frighten even adults. Mummy Pig notices the classroom is too dark. Windows are covered with black curtains. A tall figure in black emerges from the shadows. Darth Vader slowly approaches them. The Dark Lord speaks in a mechanical voice about power. George must join the dark side. Mummy Pig realizes the horrible truth. The school is captured by evil force controlling children. Darth Vader explains his plan. Children will become his students of the dark side. Mummy Pig grabs George's hand. They must immediately leave this cursed place. Darth Vader blocks their path with a lightsaber. Red light illuminates frightened faces. Mummy Pig screams that love is stronger than evil. George begins to remember his family. Mother's love breaks the spell. George recognizes his mum again and cries. They escape from school while Darth Vader remains. His evil laughter echoes through corridors. At home, the family learns an important lesson. Evil can hide in most unexpected places. A dark force still waits in school. Darth Vader prepares new plans to capture children's. The forest always seemed like a perfect place for berry picking to the pig family. But ancient trees hold secrets that are better left undisturbed. The family went to the forest to collect sweet berries. Everyone was in great spirits, anticipating delicious jam making. Suddenly, Daddy Pig noticed strange black tracks. They led deep into the thicket and looked very unusual. Daddy decided the family should stay in the forest overnight. He said it was too late to return home safely. The family set up camp near a large tree. But as darkness fell, the atmosphere became ominous. Strange sounds and rustling came from the darkness. Something big and black was moving between the trees. Venom emerged from the shadows, his white eyes glowing. He looked like black liquid with teeth and tentacles. Venom surrounded the family with his dark matter tentacles. He spoke about the forest belonging to him alone. The family realized they were trapped by Venom. He fed on fear and negative emotions of people. Venom showed the family visions of their worst nightmares. Each saw what they feared most in life. Peppa saw herself losing all her friends forever. George saw his beloved dinosaur disappearing into nothingness. Mummy and Daddy Pig saw their children suffering. This was the most terrifying vision for parents. But the family realized their love was stronger than fear. They hugged and supported each other tightly. Venom weakened when the family united against fear. Love and unity proved to be his weakness. The family understood the importance of mutual support in difficult moments. Venom retreated but didn't disappear completely. In the morning, the family left the forest forever changed. They became more attentive to each other. Venom remained in the forest, waiting for new victims. He knew fear would always find its way to people. Sometimes white eyes can be seen in the dark forest. Venom continues hunting lonely travelers. In the final scene, a new family enters the forest. They don't know about the danger awaiting them. Venom watches from the shadows, preparing for a new hunt. The cycle of fear is ready to repeat again. The full moon illuminates Peppa Pig's house with cold silver light. But tonight, the moon brought an ancient curse with it. Strange sounds come from the forest behind the house. Wild howling echoes through the quiet village. Peppa cannot fall asleep. Something scratches at the window. Shadows on the walls take frightening animal shapes. George cries in his little bed, pointing at the window. A large furry shadow flickers behind the glass. Mummy Pig comes to comfort the children, but freezes. In the yard, she sees huge paw prints. Daddy Pig checks all doors and windows of the house, but locks won't help against what's already inside. Susie Sheep comes in the morning with bad news. Her wool is disheveled, eyes full of fear. Danny Dog and Pedro Pony tell about a strange beast. They saw its silhouette in the moonlight. Madame Gazelle knows old legends about the curse. She warns children not to go out at night. Granny Pig finds strange prints in the garden. They lead straight to the family's house. Grandpa Pig remembers his grandfather's stories about one who transforms under the full moon. At night, the family hears scratching on the roof. Something big and heavy walks above. Strange sounds come from the attic, growling and scraping. No one dares to go upstairs. Peppa sees glowing yellow eyes in the window. They stare directly at her from the darkness. The werewolf appears in the house, but doesn't attack. It searches for something very important. The creature speaks in a human voice about ancient debt. The family must return what ancestors took. Mummy Pig understands this is their family's curse. The werewolf will come every full moon. The family finds an old amulet in the house basement. This is what the mysterious guest sought. The werewolf takes the amulet and vanishes into the night, but its yellow eyes remain in memory forever. In the morning, all traces disappear, but the family knows truth. At the next full moon, it will return again. Peppa looks at the moon and sees a silhouette. The werewolf watches the house from a distant hill. A sunny morning at Peppa Pig's house seemed ordinary and joyful. But outside the window, in the shadow of old trees, danger was already waiting. Peppa was playing in the yard when she saw Susie Sheep. Her best friend looked strangely pale and silent. Susie silently pointed to the dark forest behind the house. Her eyes seemed empty and lifeless, like glass. Peppa followed her friend to the edge of the forest. The trees looked threatening, their branches reaching like bony hands. Susie walked deeper into the forest in silence. Peppa began to worry but continued to follow her. The forest became darker and thicker. Sunlight barely penetrated through the dense crowns of trees. Strange sounds came from the depths of the forest. Cracking branches, whispering wind, and something even more ominous. Susie stopped at an old hut. The house looked abandoned, but smoke was coming from the chimney. The sheep pointed to the door of the hut. Her movements were mechanical, as if she were a puppet. Peppa noticed that Susie's shadow was wrong. Instead of a sheep, the shadow resembled a hunched old woman. The door of the hut creaked and opened by itself. Strange green light and the smell of herbs came from inside. Susie entered the hut first. Peppa hesitated, feeling that something was wrong. Inside the hut, a cauldron with bubbling potion was burning. Dried herbs and strange objects hung everywhere. Susie approached the cauldron and turned around. Her face began to change, wrinkle and age. The sheep turned into an old witch with a hooked nose. Her eyes glowed with malicious green fire. The witch laughed with an ominous laugh. She had deceived Peppa by taking the form of her best friend. Peppa tried to run away, but the door slammed shut. The witch began reading a transformation spell. Green smoke enveloped Peppa from all sides. She felt her body beginning to change. The witch continued to cast spells, stirring the potion. Peppa was turning into a small wooden doll. In the morning, parents found only a toy pig. The real Peppa remained forever a prisoner of the witch. Children's crying can still be heard in the forest. The witch is looking for new victims, taking the form of their friends. Local children no longer play near the forest. They know that you can't always trust even your best friends. Peppa Pig's house always seemed like a safe place, warm and cozy. But none of its inhabitants even suspected what dark secrets were hidden here, behind familiar walls and cheerful children's laughter. Grandpa Pig stood at the doorstep, but wouldn't come inside. His eyes seemed empty and cold, like glass. Peppa called Grandpa to come in, but he only smiled strangely. The smile was too wide and unnatural. Grandpa Pig said he couldn't enter without invitation. His voice sounded hoarse and mechanical. Mummy Pig invited Grandpa to come in, but he continued standing. Something prevented him from crossing the threshold. The family noticed that Grandpa cast no shadow. Sunlight passed through him as if he were a ghost. Grandpa Pig told about his meeting with Baba Yaga. The old witch offered him a deal in the dark forest. Baba Yaga promised Grandpa eternal youth and strength, but in return demanded his soul and ability to enter homes. Grandpa agreed to the deal, not understanding consequences. Now he couldn't enter houses without special invitation. Baba Yaga appeared near the house, laughing with creepy laughter. Her yellow eyes glowed in darkness. Teeth were sharp. The witch said that Grandpa now belonged to her. He must bring her new victims for deals. The family understood that Grandpa was no longer who he was. Baba Yaga turned him into her servant. Grandpa Pig asked family not to invite him anymore. He feared he would harm them against his will. Baba Yaga disappeared in clouds of smoke, taking Grandpa with her. The family remained alone, trembling with fear and sadness. At night, they heard Grandpa's voice outside window. He asked to let him in, but family knew it was trap. In the morning, strange objects lay at doorstep. Baba Yaga left them as reminder of her power. Peppa learned important lesson about greed and deals. Some offers are too good to be true. The family never saw real Grandpa again. But sometimes at night they heard his sad voice in wind. The house became a place of